The narrow alley was pitch black. Rain drummed against old brick. Footsteps echoed, and a young woman's terrified voice broke the silence. Two men had her pinned against the wall, her eyes wide with panic. Then came the scream that split the night. "Daddy, please, help her." From the shadows stepped a man in worn work clothes, holding nothing but a wooden stick. In seconds, both attackers were on the ground, groaning in pain. The trembling woman stared at him in disbelief, while a little girl ran to his side and hugged his leg tight. "You saved her, Daddy." He had no idea that this moment would bring the most powerful CEO in the city straight to his doorstep by morning. Meet Michael Ward, 36, a construction worker who looked ordinary, until you noticed the calm steel in his eyes and the soldier's posture he could never quite lose. Every morning at 6, his alarm rang not for himself, but for his 8-year-old daughter, Emily, the bright center of his small world. She had messy brown hair, bright eyes, and a smile that could melt steel. "Daddy, look what I drew." She held up a picture of a man with a cape. "It's you, my superhero daddy." Michael knelt beside her, smiling. "I'm just a regular dad, sweetheart." "No way. Regular dads can't fix everything like you do." If only she knew. 3 years earlier, his life had collapsed in a single phone call. His wife, Sarah, had died in a car accident while he was serving overseas on an elite military security team. He dropped everything, career, brothers in arms, a future of medals and missions, and came home to raise Emily alone. In his pocket, he still carried a broken ballpoint pen Sarah had given him the day before their wedding. "For luck," she'd said. The ink was long gone, but he couldn't let it go. It was the only piece of her he had left. Now his days were simple. Work the night shift, come home at dawn, make Emily breakfast, walk her to school, nap, pick her up, help with homework, repeat. A quiet, unseen life. But tonight, everything changed. The foreman sent everyone home early because of the storm. Rain poured down like bullets as Michael and Emily hurried through the near-empty streets. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" she asked, skipping beside him, her yellow raincoat flapping. "It's raining, Munchkin. How about hot chocolate instead?" "Deal, but only if you tell me another story about the brave knights." Michael chuckled. She loved his stories, about knights who protected people. What she didn't know was that those stories were memories in disguise. They cut through an old district, narrow alleys, flickering streetlights, the kind of place decent folks avoided after dark. But Michael knew the area like a soldier knew a battlefield, every exit, every shadow. Old habits die hard. That's when they heard it, a woman's muffled voice. "Please, just let me go." Michael stopped. Emily tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, someone's in trouble." Through the rain, he saw them. 2 men cornering a young woman against a wall. Designer coat, expensive purse, and pure terror in her eyes. "This doesn't concern you, lady," one growled. "Give us what we want and nobody gets hurt." Michael's jaw tightened. His fingers brushed a broken pen in his pocket. He could almost hear Sarah's voice. "Promise me, you'll always protect the innocent." Emily whispered, "Daddy, we have to help her." He looked down at her, 8 years old, brave beyond her years. "Stay behind me, no matter what happens," he said. The men turned as he stepped forward. "Hey, old man," one sneered. "Mind your own business." "Let her go," Michael said, voice calm but laced with steel. They laughed. "What's this?" Some construction worker thinks he's a hero. The woman's eyes met his, pleading silently. Michael felt the switch flip inside him. The soldier, the protector, awoke. "I'm going to count to 3, he said evenly. "Let her go and walk away." "Or what?" "You'll call the cops." The taller one with a gold chain grinned. "There's no signal down here." 1. The shorter man drew a knife. "You deaf or stupid?" 2. Emily squeezed her father's hand, fearless. 3. It lasted barely 10 seconds. The gold chain man lunged first. Michael's hand moved faster, a blur of precision. The broken pen jabbed into a pressure point in the man's neck. He dropped instantly, paralyzed with pain. The second attacker slashed with the knife, but Michael sidestepped, grabbed a loose plank, and slammed it across the man's wrist. The knife clattered to the ground. One strike to the gut. Down he went, gasping for air. Silence, except for rain on pavement. The woman stared at him, shaking. How did you... Are you hurt? He asked. And no. Thank you. Thank you so much. Footsteps echoed. Bystanders were approaching. Phones appeared. Someone was recording. Yo, some janitor just took down 2 guys. Did you get that on video? Within minutes, it was everywhere. People filming, shouting, uploading. Daddy, you did it. You saved her. Emily hugged his leg. Michael didn't feel proud. He felt exposed. He'd spent years hiding this part of himself. Now the whole world would see. Hero of the day, huh? Sneered Gold Chain, clutching his neck as he staggered up. This isn't over, construction boy. We know this neighborhood. Every instinct screamed at Michael to end the threat, but Emily was watching, and cameras were rolling. He simply lifted her into his arms and walked away. Wait, the woman called after him. I don't even know your name. He didn't answer. Behind him, she began sobbing, not from fear now, but from relief. He saved me, she kept whispering. By the time Michael and Emily reached their small apartment, the video already had 50,000 views. By midnight, it was viral. Headlines flooded in. Construction worker thinks he's Batman. Single dad janitor's cringe hero moment. Blue-collar vigilante goes too far. The comments were cruel. Bet he practiced in front of a mirror. Poor kid. Her dad's delusional. Someone's watched too much Netflix. But others were worse. Anyone know who this guy is? Pretty sure he lives near Riverside. I've seen him at the downtown sites. Michael sat on his worn couch, watching his invisible life unravel. Emily was asleep in the next room, blissfully unaware. His phone buzzed nonstop, unknown numbers, reporters maybe or worse. He shut it off and buried it in a drawer. He didn't know that across the city, in a mansion on the hills, someone else was watching those same clips on loop. A woman who recognized much more than his face. Who knew exactly who Michael Ward really was? And at 6 a.m., she would be at his door. Morning came too soon. Michael hadn't slept. Every car passing outside made him flinch. The video now had 2 million views. Emily brushed her teeth, humming, completely unaware that the world now knew her father's face. Daddy, why do you look so tired? Just bad dreams, sweetheart. Want me to scare them away? I'm really good at that. He smiled and hugged her. You already do. Then he froze. Outside, a sleek black SUV stopped at their building. A driver in a suit stepped out, and then a woman, tall, elegant, every inch the picture of power. Who's that pretty lady? Emily whispered, pressing to the window. 3 sharp knocks sounded on their door. Michael opened it slowly. The woman's makeup couldn't hide her red eyes. Mr. Ward, she said softly, my name is Isabella Lane. We need to talk. I think you have the wrong person. No, she said, voice trembling. You saved my sister last night. Michael's heart stopped. Your sister? Yes, Sophie Lane. She was a woman in the alley. Michael's world stopped. Your sister, the woman I helped? Isabella nodded, her voice trembling. Sophie Lane, 23. She was walking home from dinner when those men... She broke off, her composure slipping. She's my baby sister. If you hadn't been there... Emily peeked out from behind Michael's leg. Daddy, is this about the lady you saved? Isabella managed a faint smile through her tears. You must be Emily. I told Daddy he's a superhero, but he says he's just regular. For the first time in hours, Isabella laughed softly. Regular? Mr. Ward, there's nothing regular about you. Michael shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, I appreciate your coming here, but you don't need to. You didn't just save her life, Isabella interrupted, her voice breaking. You saved mine. Sophie is all I have left. Our parents died when she was 12. I've been raising her ever since. The powerful CEO of Lane Industries, worth millions, was now crying on the doorstep of a man who owned 2 work shirts and a leaky coffee maker. Emily reached up and touched Isabella's hand gently. It's okay, pretty lady. My daddy makes everything better. Do you want some juice? Michael blinked, caught off guard. Sharing makes people feel better. Emily explained proudly before running to the kitchen. Isabella smiled faintly. She's beautiful. How old? 8. You've done an incredible job, Mr. Ward. Michael didn't answer. He just nodded slightly, unsure what to say as Emily returned with a small glass of apple juice. Here, she said brightly, handing it to Isabella like a gift. Thank you, sweetheart. Isabella took a sip, then noticed something in Michael's hand. A small, battered pen. What's that? Michael looked down at it. A pen. My wife gave it to me before she died. Isabella frowned and stepped closer. May I? He hesitated, then handed it over. Her eyes widened. This engraving, do you see that? She showed him a tiny eagle etched near the clip. I've never noticed that before, Michael said quietly. My father used to give these pens to every member of his private security detail, Isabella whispered. The elite team that protected our family 15 years ago. Michael froze. You were one of them, weren't you? She said softly. You were part of my father's unit. Images flashed through his mind. Long nights, coded comms, a younger Isabella reading on a veranda while her father worked, little Sophie chasing butterflies in the garden. He had been their silent guardian for 2 years, until he met Sarah and chose a different life. I remember you now, Isabella said, voice shaking. Michael Ward, my father's most trusted man, the one who disappeared without saying goodbye. Michael looked away. That was another life, Mrs. Lane. But it's still part of who you are, she replied gently. You didn't change. You just redirected that instinct to protect. Emily tugged on his sleeve. Daddy, you knew the pretty lady before? Michael smiled faintly. A long time ago, sweetheart. Isabella's eyes glistened. My father always said you were the only man he trusted completely. You could have stayed and built a career that most men dream of, but you chose love and family instead. He admired that. Michael straightened. That was a lifetime ago. Maybe, Isabella said, but last night proved something. You can't hide what you are, Michael. Some people fight because they're trained to. You fight because it's who you are. Emily beamed. See, Daddy? I told you you're a superhero. Michael couldn't help but smile. But deep down, he knew his quiet life was gone. By noon, the world had changed again. The same social media accounts that had mocked him were now praising him after Isabella held a press conference at Lane Industries headquarters. Cameras flashed as she stepped up to the podium. Yesterday, the internet mocked a man they called a janitor hero, she began. Today, I'm here to tell you who he really is. The room went silent. Michael Ward, she said clearly, is a decorated former security specialist. Years ago, he protected my family. He's a veteran who gave up a prestigious career to raise his daughter alone after his wife's death. The woman he saved last night, my sister, owes her life to him. Gasps rippled through the reporters. She continued firmly. While others filmed for likes, he stepped into danger without hesitation. While the world looked away, he acted. Michael Ward is the kind of man this world doesn't celebrate enough. A true protector. Then she looked straight into the cameras. My family will forever be in his debt. Within hours, the narrative flipped. New headlines appeared. CEO reveals hero's identity. Decorated veteran saves her sister. From construction worker to guardian, the real story of Michael Ward. Single dad secret past Shock City. Comment sections that once mocked him were now overflowing with respect. This man's the definition of a real hero. I judged too soon. Respect. More fathers like this, please. The world had finally seen who Michael really was. But for him, fame felt heavier than the ridicule. That afternoon, Isabella arrived again, this time with Sophie. Sophie was pale, her hands trembling slightly. But when she saw Michael, her eyes softened. It's really you, she whispered. I thought maybe you were some guardian angel. Emily burst in with a piece of paper. Look what I drew. The drawing showed a man with a cape standing in front of a woman, protecting her from dark figures. It's you, Daddy, saving the pretty lady. Sophie began crying softly. Isabella hugged her sister close, whispering, "He's the reason you're still here. Your daddy is the bravest man I've ever met," Sophie told Emily. "I know," Emily said proudly. "He's my superhero." The girls' laughter filled the room as they started coloring together. Crayons scattered across the floor. Isabella turned to Michael. "You're the talk of the city. People want interviews, TV appearances, everything. I don't want any of that," he said simply. "I just want a quiet life for her." "I know," Isabella said. "But sometimes heroes don't get to choose when the world notices them." She glanced toward Emily and Sophie giggling together. "You gave me my sister back. You gave Emily a father she can look up to. You gave the city something rare. Proof that decency still exists." Michael said nothing, just watched his daughter's bright face. For the first time in years, the word hope didn't feel impossible. That evening, Isabella joined him on the small balcony outside his apartment. Inside, Emily and Sophie were making friendship bracelets, the air filled with childish laughter. "You don't have to hide anymore," Isabella said quietly. "Our family owes you everything." Michael leaned on the railing, eyes soft. "All I ever wanted was to keep Emily safe. That's all that matters." "And you have," Isabella said. "She's strong, brave, and kind because of you. But maybe it's time to stop pretending you're just an ordinary man." He looked at her curiously. "What do you mean?" She handed him a business card. "Lane Industries is looking for a new head of security. Someone I can trust completely. Someone who doesn't just guard buildings, but people." Michael shook his head. "I can't. Emily needs me here." "The job comes with flexible hours, full benefits, and enough pay for a house with a backyard, and a better school for Emily," she said gently. Through the window, they could hear Emily say, "Sophie, do you want to meet Daddy's friend Mr. Jenkins downstairs? He's really nice." Isabella smiled faintly. "She adores you." "She's my whole world," Michael said. "When her mother died, I promised I'd be enough." "And you have been," Isabella said softly. "But maybe you don't have to be her whole world anymore. Maybe it's time to let her see who her dad really is." Michael looked down at the pen in his hand. "I kept this because it reminded me of Sarah," he said quietly. "But maybe it also reminded me of the man I used to be." Isabella's eyes shimmered in the golden evening light. "Maybe it's not broken," she said. "Maybe it just needed the right moment to matter again." Through the window, Emily lifted her finished bracelet high. "Daddy, come see what we made." Michael smiled, an honest, unguarded smile that reached his eyes for the first time in years. "Coming, sweetheart." He slipped the pen back into his pocket and turned toward the door. As he stepped inside, Isabella whispered softly behind him, "Welcome back, guardian." The broken pen had found its purpose again, and so had the man who carried it.